Well, hello everyone. Ivana Taylor here. Welcome you to the Monday edition of Bizapalooza Chat. Today we are plugging in on the topic of influence. So I want to tell you that I have actually been involved with the Influencer Marketing Days, which is a brand new conference. It's like in its second or third year, I think. I've got the founder right here. So we're going to learn all about influence because we're typically talking about influence online, and we're talking about influencers and celebrities on Instagram, and everything seems to be online. But that is not always the best way to create influence, nor is it the only way. So today we're going to talk about influence face to face with our very, very special guest, my friend Geno Prussakov. Hello, Geno.
Hi, Ivana. Pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
I am so thrilled that you're here. Can you just start off, as folks are like starting to trickle in, start off and tell us a little bit about what you do, because you are a man of many talents.
Now, this is very kind of you to say that. I actually do quite a number of things. I write, as in I have 4 published books out there. I blog, I speak at conferences. I think I've spoken something like 65 times globally. And keynote shows every once in a while, and I run shows of my own, like Influencer Marketing Days, which you've mentioned, and also another one called Affiliate Management Days. I actually come from the affiliate marketing world originally, which is the world where you manage and maintain and build partnerships with independent marketers. Many synergies with influencer marketing these days, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in this chat as well. But yes, that's me. I write, I blog, I speak, I run Influencer Marketing Days and other conferences as well.
So talk a little bit about, I guess, what is it? How did you get involved in affiliates? Talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey of how, because I think it's wonderful and it's a fascinating story. So kind of give us a little bit of your background and how you got from affiliates into influencers.
Yeah, I actually started as an online merchant. I had my own online store. We were selling Russian gifts and collectibles, and back in the day, it was good 16, 17 years ago. That was really at the dawn of affiliate marketing, and as a business owner, I found out about this type of marketing, which does not require you too much in terms of original investments apart from your time to manage the relationships. And that's how I got into affiliate, where you would compensate independent marketers based on performance. Once a sale is driven in or a lead is completed, whatever the desired performance is. Now, a few years ago, influencer marketing becomes the buzzword. And there are so many things that we've been already doing through affiliates on the influencer marketing level, even before influencer marketing became the buzzword, that I got really fascinated by the market's interest in it, a much, much higher interest than that in affiliate marketing, because everyone is following someone. We are so interconnected, so influenced by our friends or family or the stars that we follow on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And the monetization component of it is fascinating as well, both on the influencer end and on the brand end. But yeah, that's me. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, that's fascinating. So because that was a conversation we had as we were pulling this chat together, because I know you from the affiliate world, and one of the conversations we were having was that to be a great, and you'll have to jump in here because this is your area, to really be a great affiliate marketer, it's, to me, my observation is that great affiliate marketers, especially the folks I met at Affiliate Summit, for example, are folks who are not just content experts, but more so they seem to be really, really good at analytics, at driving traffic, using keywords creatively. To me, to be a great affiliate marketer, you've got to have a very good, strong set of analytical skills. Whereas I feel like the way influencer campaigns run, content expertise tends to be just as important as reach and driving traffic, although you need both. So kind of draw that distinction for us, please.
Yeah, there's a common misconception that goes like this. Affiliate marketing is a channel of marketing. Now, that is not true. Affiliate marketing is more of a model, a marketing context, which allows us to work with content creators, paid search marketers, those that are into retargeting and remarketing, and on the list goes. But the undergirding model would be that of paying for performance. Now then come influencers, and influencers, you're right, they are primarily focused on some sort of content, be it textual or visual content. And it's fascinating the numbers of followers that they would gather around that content when that content really resonates with the audience and really adds value. People do want to follow those people. Now, those influencers very frequently would be what I would call psychologically ready, but not professionally ready to monetize their efforts. Psychologically meaning, yeah, we are happy to go into monetization. Professionally meaning, we have no clue how to code links. We don't know how to import data feeds. We don't really have any knowledge as to what platforms are out there to support tracking and reporting and really maximizing what we do. So yes, you're right. I think you're right on the money with everything that you said, but affiliate is much broader than influencer, in my opinion.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's bounce around and talk a little bit. We're going to jump ahead and then jump back. What are some of the myths around influencer marketing? Because you started with some of the myths around affiliate marketing. So what are some myths around influencer marketing?
I think one of the biggest one is really the more followers, the merrier, which is a very common one. People look at Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts of folks like Taylor Swift, who has tremendous, big, loyal following too. Disregard some of the smaller or micro influencers, or even those that are called power middle, those that really have the followers that they may need to reach to. Whereas these stars, these big accounts on social media are more like I like to think of them more as billboards, a great way to get the message out there, great branding avenue. Maybe not so much performance as in that final sale geared. Secondly, I'd say, and this ties into the first myth, that the more followers, the better. Then the second myth goes like this: brands really must have deep pockets to tap into influencer marketing. That's not necessarily so. Your money may be much better spent if they are spent on, if you spend your dollars on 20 micro influencers or 30 micro influencers will actually contribute to that final goal of yours, say, of generating sales, much better than a big billboard type account. And thirdly, there's this myth that it is hard to measure the ROI or the return on investment, really the effectiveness of influencer marketing, which is really no more than a myth. Once you have clear goals, you can always attach KPIs or key performance indicators that will indicate whether you've reached the goals or contributed to the success of the goal or not. So I'd say those would be the top three that I see coming up again and again here and there.
Right. So if we're talking about affiliate marketing, that's a paid for performance. And I think too that influencer marketing is also a sort of pay for performance. I mean, most of the brands I'm engaging with, they want to build their list. They want to build relationships, right? It might not be an immediate sale, let's say the way an affiliate sale would happen, but definitely, you know, if you're not getting conversions, then you're not really doing much. So let's talk about this idea. We're going to be talking about a lot of face-to-face influence. Why did you feel that it was important to start a conference around influencer marketing where folks like all come together?
Well, on a number of reasons, and your observations that you voiced out earlier are very, very important here too. We talk about building relationship, both in affiliate and in influencer marketing. Yet very frequently, specifically in influencer marketing, do we provide the infrastructure for encouraging that relationship building on a longer term scale. We would very frequently see campaigns paying influencers a one-time sort of insertion fee or one-time placement fee for blogging about them, or for ranking them, or for mentioning them on this or that platform. And then linking directly or through whatever analytics platform they want to track this. But when you intertwine affiliate into it, or in any other model that encourages that longer term relationship, showing the influencer that they can be earning, daily from the same post, that same post that they put together once would then keep encouraging them to be more involved with the brand. And partially, influencer marketing looks to address that, educating both brands and influencers on how to best structure it for all parties involved. Secondly, there's no vendor neutral platform out there, or vendor neutral forum, place, location for influencers to meet brands. There are network or platform specific events happening out there, but no vendor neutral one. So that's what we are seeking to address. So yeah, between the educational element and the networking element, I think those would be the key ones. And the location of the show, New York, second time in a row, is not is not unjustified. This is really where many brands are and where many top influencers are, and we want to make it convenient for them to come. But yeah, that's what we are doing there.
Well, one of the things that you've brought up several times just in this short time that we've talked so far is that you talked about the myth of thinking that brands had to have big pockets, that you have to spend a lot of money on influencers and influencer marketing. How can a small business leverage influencer marketing, especially if they're in an area? I mean, I know I work with a lot of small businesses, maybe even manufacturers or technical companies. They're in a niche. Maybe their audience isn't, certainly not on Twitter, or a bunch of engineers. They're not necessarily on Facebook. They might be on LinkedIn. What's some advice that you might give to a small business or a technical company that may not have considered influencer marketing?
Well, so if a small business or business of any size is looking to tap into influencer marketing, they really want to do 5 very specific things when thinking that campaign up and then implementing it, and all the way down to measuring it. First of all, we got to roll back to that goals question that I've already brought up. What is it that you're trying to achieve? Are you bringing a new product to the market? Or are you looking for looking into growing your follower base on Facebook or your fan page? Or are you looking for in-store purchases, driving those? We've seen those happen beautifully in certain relationships through mobile apps and such. Now, first start with the goals. Then when you know what your goals are, pair those with the right influencers, or identify the influencers that will help you reach those goals. If it's on LinkedIn, a perfect example, maybe that's where your audience is as well. And if they are on LinkedIn Pulse, they may those influencers may be very, very valuable to you. So upon identifying those right influencers, you want to then engage into onboarding them and activating them. Making sure that they are actually promoting your brand or your product or whatever the goal there is. Then, and this is something that very few do, reinforce their effort. You really want to amplify what they do by featuring them in your own marketing, by retweeting them. Essentially, you're helping them promote you everyone with. And then roll back down to measuring it, tying it to the specific KPIs. You started with the goals. How close did you get to the goals? What can you learn from this campaign that you can replicate as far as your successes or avoid going forward as far as failure?
Awesome. So let's go back to the influencer marketing days thing as you were putting this conference together. So it sounds like you have brands coming to the conference as well as influencers. And do you have even smaller businesses coming? Who's going to be there? What are they going to get?
It's quite a mix. Ivana, it's really, I would say that about 70% of the crowd are businesses from across the board, large and small. And it's amazing. There are some really, really large ones and some really small ones that are really just, mom and pop shop type businesses. And everyone is fascinated by influencer marketing because it's really, various reports show that people nowadays trust the advice of the people they know and trust beyond any other form of advertising. And that's really, and everyone is influenced by someone. We built a house not too long ago. Well, when I was looking for a stamped concrete vendor or a lawn mowing company, that's who I went to. The neighbors that were in the same situation that built their house half a year earlier than myself. So I'm following them on Facebook. I'm listening to what they say. They speak my language in this particular context. So there will be businesses large and small. There will be some platforms that provide for the infrastructure for running affiliate programs. There are some platforms that help you identify and score influencers, others that actually own relationship with many influencers that they can let you tap into. And there will be also influencers. We're trying to stay fairly generic because it's pretty difficult to make it worth a pet food influencers while being at a conference where there are primarily people selling refrigerators. And I'm just making this example up, but there are all sorts of influencers out there, even pet influencers, pet accounts that, in some niches you do want to partner with those. So we are trying, it's a challenging task to connect the right influencers with the right brands. We're trying to stay generic enough, yet concrete enough for them to take something back home or their offices to implement as far as influencer marketing goes.
So what have been some of the challenges as, I'm sure you're using an influencer strategy to promote the conference, right? So what have been some of the challenges in promoting the conference, getting the right people there, and how have you used influencer marketing to promote the conference?
That's a very good question. We are trying to rely a lot on our speakers as they have the clout and they have their own following that people listen to and that people really, it's one thing if it's Geno who is saying you should attend, but it's a different thing if it's someone like Lee Odin or someone that has the clout or someone from IZEA. So we're trying to leverage that. Which is helping, and it's really working influencer marketing wise. But then on the other side of the fence, there are those attendees that attended the first conference that are so happy with it that they evangelize even without any, just as any brand advocate does, without any compensation involved. Think of all those Apple fans that will pay a hefty price for the product, yet then go back home, shoot unpacking videos, put together reviews. They would be fans of the product. And I'm trying to build that base as well, slowly but surely.
All right, so I'm hopping around. I totally get it. But what advice would you give someone who's brand new to the influencer marketing game? I suppose, we've got brands and businesses who are brand new, but also maybe there are folks out there who are experts in their field and want to kind of build and grow their influence. So start with one, but let's cover both.
Well, it's as in any field, before jumping into the water, you got to educate yourself. And there's plenty of great content and research out there put together by companies like Marketo, and there's a lot put out by Tracker, by Tap Influence. I actually myself have a course on LinkedIn after they acquired lynda.com. That became a part of LinkedIn Learning, which is called Influencer Marketing Fundamentals. There is a lot of great material out there. some of which repeat some of the stuff that other people said, but through new researches, but that only reinforces the findings when they come from different sources. I would say focus on education, and there's it's a fascinating type of marketing that, with the right and educated approach, can yield really long-term relationship/benefit.
Awesome. Awesome. So if I were a up and coming influencer, what are the top 3 to 5 things I should be doing? And is there time to do them before influencer marketing days?
Well, what we did at Influencer Marketing Days this time, unlike the first time when we had only one track of sessions, right now we have 2. So one is for brands, the other one is for influencers. And we realize that there are so many things involved. Some may not even know what podcasting is and how beneficial it is. Others may not realize the power of visual content specifically, which is being digested or processed by our brain some 60,000 times faster than textual content. That's why the popularity of all those Instagram stars. So I would say whatever, really recognize where your weaknesses are and see what can be done to get you up to speed as far as what's going on in those specific areas. But influencer, very much like affiliate, is so much broader than just one channel. Smart influencers have a great following across different platforms, from Twitter, which is purely textual and very constrained, as you and I know, the 160 characters, to YouTube, to even blogging, which is a social medium, which can be great for growing your then email list as well. And you really branch beyond, you jump between different channels. Realize what you are not doing and see what you can do to educate yourself, and then get involved in those areas, because there are quite a few cool things that can be done across these different channels.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about this whole face-to-face influence thing, because it's one thing to know someone online, but it's something completely different to meet them face-to-face. What are some benefits about going to not just conferences, but networking events and these types of things? And what are some strategies that both brands and influencers can use to build those relationships face-to-face?
It's funny. We are talking primarily online influence, and then I was intrigued by the topic when you first brought it up, reaching out to me about this interview. And you're right on the money. In Russia, and this is where I was born, and even though I'm based right here in DC for quite a number of years already, but in Russian there's a saying that goes like this: you first judge of a man by his appearance, but when you part ways, it's the intellect that you remember, or lack thereof. So it's amazing how easy it is to fake some things online, but then in person is always so much more authentic. So it's tough in this online world where we are all on email, Twitter, and much of the relationship building happens online. It's interesting to see how at larger conferences people meet and mingle. Some of them really, to your point, don't really have a strategy. They just find their group of people they're comfortable with and move around a big multi-thousand attendee conference in the group of 5, 4, 10, whatever, from lunch to party to sessions all together. It's tough. I'm a very shy person, and it's for me to get out of my box, out of my comfort zone, to get up on stage and speak. It's every time it's a very nervous experience. But then I realized that those people that either came to the session or came to the conference, and many of them are in the same shoes as myself. So that helps sort of do something that will, in the long run, it's amazing what a cup of coffee could buy you, just sitting down and chatting with someone who may be your next super affiliate or influencer that will build your business, building their own at the same time.
I think that's a really great point. I don't know if you've had this experience before. I know one of my goals when I go to conferences, or I know I'm going to meet people that I've only met online, my goal is to be really congruent. The person that they've seen online, they should not be shocked or surprised or anything by who they meet in person. But I have had the experience where I have one impression of someone online, but then when I see them face to face, it's a completely different impression, and it's not always positive. And so I was thinking, as I was looking at your conference, I'm like, what a great way for brands to go and see these people that they've seen online and see, like, are they congruent? Are they, how do I say this nicely, as nice to you in person if they maybe don't know who you are, versus seeing you on Twitter or Facebook or some other channel where they can sort of buff. I don't know. Have you had that experience?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can fully identify. I've been at all sorts of conferences and get-togethers, and no, I can fully echo what you're saying.
So I think it's important for businesses to meet folks face to face and see what they're really like. See if they are as friendly in person as they are online, because I've actually seen folks who are experts in like referrals or relationships or something, and you meet them and they're looking at you like you're stinky cheese or something, and I was like, wow, didn't you write a book about that? So talk a little bit more about where am I going to? I have this long list of questions, Geno. What have been some of the challenges? How long did it take you to create the conference, prepare the conference? What were some of your biggest challenges as you put that in place?
Running a show or putting together a show is always a big challenge. So I'm lucky. Influencer Marketing Days is not my first conference. I ran 9 affiliate management days between San Francisco, London, Fort Lauderdale. Since 2012, I've been doing this, and I partnered with a company that is a professional conference production company called Rising Media. So they handle all of the things that I cannot handle. I focus on content and on the agenda and on speaker relationships, on some on marketing as well, on interviewing speakers, on making sure that that the agenda really flows nicely, and one person's topic complements another one or builds on the outcomes of the other one. So it's been a fun process. It's never fully satisfactory to me, the outcome of any given conference, but that may be the perfectionist in me, and I try to make every conference better than the previous one, and it's actually been 9 affiliate management days, 1 influencer marketing days. So this one is going to be my 11th conference, and I think that we've learned a thing or two along the way. So we'll do our best to shine.
So talk about what some of the hot topics and trends are right now in influencer marketing.
There's, it's funny. I was interviewed by a Huffington Post contributor not too long ago, and the article should be coming soon. But one of the questions that she asked was, where do you see influencer marketing going? What's hot, what's not, and is it even a thing any longer? And I think it definitely is a thing. Cloud isn't going anywhere, isn't the influence of people and people listening to people. And we are so interconnected now, it's not even funny. Through our most intimate device, our cell phone, we're always, it's right there. People use it all around the place. It's the first thing they look at after waking up. Many use it in the bathroom. They carry it around, and through that, you can market through the people that they listen to and trust. So I don't see it going anywhere. I see it only influencer marketing, that is. only strengthening. But what I'm seeing right now as far as trends and where it's going, and really I like to liken it to a young adult. It's not a child. It's not in its nascent period. And it's very energetic. It's ready to experiment, willing to take risks. There's also this identity realization, or where do I fit in this world? Where do I want to be? This is, I think, where influencer marketing is, and we're seeing it's amazing. In the past few years, we've seen nearly 200, if not more, different platforms spring out for tracking, reporting, connecting brands with influencers. Some are thematic, like health and wellness or fashion. Some are broad, some are just scoring, others are connecting also. So I think as far as, where this will go, we'll see more acquisitions and likely the next 12 months or so, and a lot more quality content put out there, because these platforms very frequently sit on tremendous data of how this or that campaign performed and why, and they hopefully through the conferences out there, including my own, they will be able to share this data and help us run this in a more educated way, using their platforms or not.
And actually, that's what I thought was really interesting, is I think the platforms are fascinating, and how, maybe you can talk a little bit about this, how it is and what you're familiar with, how brands choose influencers, because, I had a myth in my mind that influencers either had millions of hits to their website or hundreds and hundreds and thousands of followers, if not more. But thanks to some of these platforms and some of these databases, I've learned that brands are looking at different things. Like you said, these goals, things that they want, some of them want engagement and conversation, and it doesn't have to be tons of people. It just has to be the right people having the right conversation, right? So, and that's how I learned that there were different kinds of influencers, whether they were celebrities or, let's say, activists versus experts, who knows what, journalists, I don't know. Do you see different kinds of categories of influencers that maybe weren't quite so visible a few years ago?
Yeah, definitely. We can split and segment them in all sorts of ways, but you're right on the money saying it's got to correspond to the goal. And you've also mentioned something very important. There's got to be audience resonance. Whoever is following an influencer, they should be the audience that you want to reach out to. Thirdly, there's got to be engagement. And that's to your point of having millions of followers or subscribers or whatever, or less than that. There's this study that was put together by, I think it was by Hello Society. It says that they analyzed something like 30,000 Instagram influencers, and they were micro influencers, or influencers with, I think, less than 20,000 followers or so. And they realized that those deliver the engagement that is 60% higher than of any other average influencer, and they are nearly 7 times more cost efficient than other influencers. So if you're really looking for the biggest return on investment, do look into investing into those that talk to your audience, that engage with them in meaningful and ways, and really helping them on other fronts. And these people, their audiences, will listen to you then.
Let's talk a little bit about measuring, because you talked about platforms that do reporting and measuring. So let's talk a little bit about that. Oftentimes, typical numbers that brands might be looking for, would be reach and impressions and followers, and we're all familiar with that. But are there some other measurements, like you were saying, that speak to engagement? Not just engagement as far as retweeting, all these things can be hacked, but like qualities of conversation that actually yield that conversion. Are there other things that folks are measuring or should be looking at?
Yeah, there are likes, there are tweets, retweets, mentions, there are all sorts of it. It's tied to the platform that we are talking about, but there are. It really depends on what we are analyzing. Say in blogs, there are comments, and that's a good metric that they are engaged with their audience. And on Twitter, there are mentions and retweets and likes of and reposts. Also, it really depends on the medium. Plus, then really the frequency of how how often the person is putting out quality content out there, be it blog posts or tweets. And you're right, there are bots and there are all sorts of ways to fake certain things, but thanks to platforms like the App Influence or Upfluence or Tracker or anyone out there that's showing you, many of them will actually give you a free demo and you can see whether whatever they measure talks to the goals that you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's really fantastic. And you mentioned comments on blog posts. Boy, have I seen a huge decrease in those. I've seen lots of comments actually end up from blog posts that are promoted on Facebook, and then the comments end up in Facebook because I think we all know that everyone's addicted and is checking their Facebook all the time. They may not see the comment on their blog, but they will see it on Facebook. Those kinds of things. Have you seen that shift of conversations moving from blogs and things over to social and, measuring that somehow? I actually, what I measure? Your laugh. If you click on a conversation in Twitter, I like a big win. Is it of a single tweet? Creates this long conversation so that you have to scroll.
Yeah.
Right.
No, answering your question about the conversations shifting to Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, yes, I actually have seen some pretty large forums, discussion boards, and specifically in affiliate marketing, retire, disappear. And conversations, precisely because of that, because people have on Facebook, they don't want to be on, a bunch of different platforms, and it's more convenient for them to just go to a specific Facebook group and discuss the topic that they are interested in, as opposed to logging into a separate platform. Yes, I have seen the trend, definitely.
What's a good ratio? One of the things I see some of my influencer friends do that I actually like quite a bit, and now it's got me curious. What's a good ratio of personal to professional to sponsored content, do you think?
I don't know. And I'm like that. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't. But I'm fighting with this. I love the question professionally, because I've built my brand primarily online, and then I wrote books, still, not in person type brand building. But I am struggling with this very situation where I have friends, personal friends, and then so many people that I know professionally that also want to follow me, and they are different crowds, and I don't, what I ended up doing, I'm using Facebook for more personal stuff, and then LinkedIn obviously for professional. And as far as Twitter goes, that's primarily professional on my end. I would post a picture of me catching a fish every once in a while or something, but I'm trying to keep Twitter and LinkedIn to professional. And so to answer your question, it would pretty much be 100%. Tweets or posts there would be professional on my side. I don't know what's the sweet spot. Isn't it always about what the audience cares about? So there is room for personal, definitely, in the professional network, but how much, that's, I guess, everyone decides.
Everyone decides for themselves. That's why I asked. I think we all struggle with that as well, especially. Yeah. Been on Facebook over an extended period of time. I remember I originally created Facebook purely for professional reasons. There were no fan pages. There was no nothing. And I was like, oh, this is going to be my professional place.
Right.
Well, that last very long. Yeah. Right. And so then, it's really challenging. But I do have to say that I do enjoy seeing my colleagues and friends with whom I might only have a professional relationship, but I do like to see them post their personal things. It helps me to know what's new in their life, what they're up to. Even obviously people I don't know, but you get to kind of see a little bit of their personal side as well. But I think I would definitely only on Facebook.
Yeah.
People are struggling. And, you know, is there such a thing that, you know, we're familiar with influencer marketing in terms of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and that, but I don't know that, what's been your experience on LinkedIn? Because you talked a little bit about that.
LinkedIn has a number of venues in which you can engage with audiences much wider than just those that are your connections. Because whatever your connections like or comment on, their connections may be able to see. So LinkedIn has what they call LinkedIn Pulse. Mm-hmm. You can become a contributor. You can be putting together articles. It actually provides fairly decent analytics. You can see clicks, you can see engagements, views, and professionally speaking, I actually tried using it a number of times for my conferences, and then was pretty fruitful because LinkedIn is where people would go for, you know, professional stuff. And the platforms like LinkedIn Pulse, they are constantly coming up with new things. At one point, they integrated, upon integrating Lynda with their platform, they would provide certification of people that would take courses, video courses from Lynda, and they could post in their profiles, boosting their influence in a way. So yeah, they constantly experiment, but it's a great, they have a great, I think if you're serious about putting out professional stuff there, articles on the subject in which you want to position yourself as an expert or in which you already are an expert, LinkedIn is a great place. It definitely is.
That is great. I think I was addicted to LinkedIn for a while, and I've stepped away from it for a while, but I have quite a few clients now for whom LinkedIn is truly a great social media channel. And I do like the changes that they've made, which makes it easier to engage with some content that you have. But it also brings up some peeves, and that's why I wanted to ask you, not necessarily about LinkedIn, but maybe about influencer marketing. What are your peeves? What are some of the things that you see or you see people do or say that just put you over the edge? Or that made you think?
That did. I mean, I'm not that easily tripped, so nothing comes to mind at this point. But no, I think it also comes down to me doing a pretty careful job sifting out who I follow or what I see. So it may not really be getting to that point, very frequently.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, let me switch the question around a bit then for you. What are some things that if you were trying to build your influencer campaign or trying to build your influence in your area of expertise, what are some things that you would definitely tell people not to do?
Well, there's this whole trend that's been going on for as long as you and I have known one another, if not longer, of people positioning themselves as gurus, it's sort of, there's no better way to devalue your expertise than call yourself a guru. That's not something that you call yourself. That's something that, I mean, I'm not a big fan of a word, but if someone uses it as applicable to someone else, it's one thing. But if you have it on your Twitter profile, I'm a link building guru or whatever, and a bit easy really there. But overall, it's anything that my role is that I don't talk or write about things that I really don't have sufficient knowledge. I mean, it easily shows when you are trying to position yourself as someone you're not. But yeah, I guess those two.
Those two, that's That's good enough. I think that's really important. I think the key distinction that you made is a really great point, is there are certain things that other people call you that you don't call yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's exactly, So you mentioned also earlier that you've learned quite a few things. So what were some of the things that you wish you knew then that you know now?
See, any marketing campaign, be it influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, is a serious enterprise, which should be A, approached in an educated fashion, and B, be closely managed. I always use this example that if you start a Google paid search account on Google AdWords and you are looking for leads or prospective customers in taxi service from DC to Baltimore, unless you target your search phrases well, or the keywords that you're bidding on well, you're going to get a bunch of clicks on the word taxi, which will be nationwide, and you will sink all of that money only to realize later on that you should have geographically targeted, or you should have made those longer tail keywords as opposed to just taxi rides. Could be someone searching for advantages or comparisons of taxi versus Uber, which may not necessarily be your target audience, or they may as well be if you have a respective landing page on your website where you outline these, reinforcing what your ad was saying. It's very similarly, to answer your question, that's exactly the activity that I've been avoiding after burning myself several times in several different marketing channels online, by really doing something that engaging in something that I didn't fully understand.
Got it. Yeah, I really understand that. And sometimes there's only one way to learn it, isn't there? Right?
Well, yeah, better make those mistakes than never try.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see, we talked about the question of how small businesses can sort of tap into influencer marketing, but let's get more specific about I think that's one of the things I liked about this idea of the conference, that people can actually get together. You can really, when my clients ask me, should I go to a conference? Why should I go to a conference? And part of the things that I might say would be conference is a great way to get a bunch of people with similar interests in the same place. If you have customers, if you have prospects, it's a great place to do market research and so on and so forth. So, but what are some of the easiest ways for small business owners to take advantage of an influencer conference? I know you have classes, I know you have people to meet, but what are some of your success tips for coming to this conference?
Well, it's like I said, there's an educational element and a big networking element. Not only brands networking with influencers and the other way around, but also brands networking with brands and learning from their success stories. Like one of our keynote panels is going to be a panel where brands like Book of the Month and Reebok are going to tell us their success story. And then there's going to be another one in the keynote panel with influencers on day one, which is going to dive into the other side of things, where influencers are going to share the same or some of the same, similar type content, but from the other side of the fence. It much really depends where the business currently is with affiliate, with influencer marketing, or with affiliate marketing intertwined into influencer. But if it's a brand new company, a small business company that's doesn't have a proven sales track record, they do want to learn where to find the right influencers to help them amplify their content, or even put together content in the first place, or get the word out there about their product, and then how to engage them, how to activate them, how to structure the relationship. For businesses that already have proven sales track records, they would have avenues they can and should tap into. That's why we have sessions on leveraging advocacy marketing. How do you empower and engage and empower those customer evangelists, those happy consumers, as well as fans that may follow you on Twitter or Facebook? Yes, there are, like we've mentioned before, ways to fake follower account in some cases, but there's a big pool of these two, advocates and then fans, that you can tap into. So we are covering all of these topics. It really depends on where you currently are as a business with influencer marketing.
Got it. What's a good way for an attendee to approach either an influencer or a brand, right? What are some ways that, I don't know about you, I am shy as well. So when I go to a conference and I see folks talking together, and sometimes the influencers are talking together and they're like all friends, and there they are, I might know one person or have talked to one person, should they be afraid? What are some good ways to approach either a brand or an influencer at this conference?
It's amazing because the crowd is it's not a multi-thousand people conference. We are talking a few hundred. So the crowd is pretty intimate. Plus we also supply, and it's amazing what kind of people you can meet in this type of crowd, what caliber that you could never, someone who would probably never reply to you on LinkedIn, whereas in person, that's a great opportunity. Plus, we provide plenty of environments for them to meet one another. There's a networking reception that we are doing, where over drinks at the end of the day, they in a more relaxed atmosphere. It's not a party. People can actually hear one another. And then additionally, what we also do is a dinner with strangers. You sign up, you don't know who you're going to dine with, but then you get together, there's a crowd of some, 6, 7, however many people, and then they go to a restaurant. We pick a restaurant, everyone pays for themselves, but they take something out of that on a different level where they're all in the same boat, essentially. They are all, like you said, likely shy, but looking for opportunities. So we do provide those sort of out-of-the-box ways for them to meet one another.
That is such a great tip. And I'm so happy to hear you say that it's a smaller conference. That's a preference for me, because when a conference is really large, and you probably have some great tips for that, but when a conference is really large, it's even hard to find people that I usually, either through Twitter or for social, if I know I'm going to be someplace, I let people know, I try to connect with people, but sometimes I've been to conferences where I knew people were there and I knew those people, but we just never could connect. It was so big that we just never made that connection. So I'm happy to hear that you have such a small, I don't mean that. I love what you said, intimate, because there is such a thing as having a conference be too big, and you want it to be easy enough to talk to people.
Yeah, either way, whether it's a big conference or a small one, investing time in connecting with people prior to the conference. We do have a mobile app through which attendees can set up meetings and such. But yeah, with larger conferences, especially, and I hear you have just returned from Affiliate Summit East, that's some 5,000 people under one roof. It's easy to get overwhelmed and not make anything of it unless you structure your meeting, prepare in advance and know who you're meeting with, what you're talking about. But whether large or small, this helps, regardless of the size of the show.
That is such a great, I love this event that you're having. I'm so upset that I can't be there, because I would totally sign up for that. I'm okay with meeting strangers, but just this idea of walking up to people, and that's just really, really tough for me. So that is just right up my alley. So as we start wrapping things up, Geno, what would you say to folks to encourage them to go to live events, conferences, obviously influencer marketing days? Give us some more information on that. I'll be sending more information on that. I've been promoting it. So all you have to do is hit my Twitter stream or my Facebook. You're going to see it. Where else can they get more information?
The conference's website is Influencer Marketing Days. .com, and likely if you go to Google and type in Influencer Marketing Conference, you'll find Influencer Marketing Days. I think it is still #1, as it should be, and that's my whole idea for the show. I do want it to add value to every attendee, and we are thinking of new ideas. But you're right. It's you gotta do your part of the job as well there. But no, influencermarketingdays.com, Twitter account Influencer Days. On Facebook, we're also on Influencer Days, and my Twitter account is linked to this chat. So I would love to speak with anyone who has ideas. And unfortunately, it's too late to propose to speak. We already have some 40 speakers from, I think, 7 different countries speaking at the show. 2 tracks, we're going to miss you. Hopefully next year we'll see you there. But yeah, your listeners and followers, we'd love to see them. And I'm open to personally discussing anything that we've talked about during this chat, post-chat. So do tweet to me if you have questions, and I'll be more than happy to dive into any of these topics or send you links to specific platforms, resources, courses, or what have you.
Oh, it's just such a great conference. And I think now if somebody can't go to the conference, but they really want to start connecting, as we have been tossing back and forth, actually we had a whole discussion between the distinction between in real life and face-to-face. And then people are saying, well, social media is real life. It's not fake life, it's real life. But what are some things that folks can do in order to create influence face-to-face? Like, what are some parting tips that you would give them in order to build their influence face-to-face?
I actually am a living example of going from online, building a personal brand from online into offline. And when you are building your influence, it's extremely important to get out there to conferences, not only to mingle or network like we've been talking, but also to propose speeches and speak. And I still remember my very first speech right here in Washington, D.C. in 2007. Very, very nervous experience at eMetrics Marketing Optimization Summit. I spoke. I didn't have a slide deck. I thought I was prepared, but now that I look back, I know how much better that could have been. But no, you got to make that first step sometime. And then right now, at the affiliate summit that I've mentioned, I had someone grab me by the sleeve in the hallway of the hotel where the conference was happening, saying, "Oh, I heard you speak in Tel Aviv, your keynote speech." And it was in 2011. And I don't remember the guy, but I look at his badge, and the badge has a speaker ribbon under it. And I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. People who 6 years ago were learning are teaching now. But unless you do it, no one else is going to do it for you. You got to get out there and prepare speeches. A lot of time goes into that, but it pays off in the long run. So that's definitely something that has helped me build face-to-face, real life influence. Plus, any writing contributions, places from Forbes.com to entrepreneur.com, in every possible resource in between, are happy to support quality content, and LinkedIn that we've talked about too. So I mean, that plus local meetups of the groups of people that are of interest to you, be it a local photography club or anything else, whatever is pertinent to your niche, or a little bloggers conference, or mommy bloggers specifically, whatever is important to you, that those face-to-face meetings are important.
That's such great advice. I can't think on any better way to end this. Geno, thank you so much for being here and for promoting Influencer Marketing Days to our group. I know that we will be following. What's going to be when is the date, and what's going to be the hashtag?
September 25th, 26th, hashtag Influencer Days.
All right, I'm putting that in there. You've seen it. Follow Influencer Days. Yay! Geno, thank you so much for being here. It's just been an honor and a pleasure. Always love to chat with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ivana. It was a pleasure as well.
And there you have it. We have just wrapped up another Bizapalooza chat, plugging into influencers face-to-face with our guest, Geno Prussakov, founder of the Influencer Marketing Days Conference, coming to you September 25th, 26th in New York. Hashtag Influencer Days. Follow it and keep track of what's going on. Build your influence, find influencers. September 25th, 26th, Influencer Marketing Days. Thank you, Geno.
Thank you.